Never let me have fire. Before I begin, I want to warn you, kind of. As you all know, I serve full-time as a hospice chaplain. And at once a month, I am on call for a weekend, which means that if my phone goes off, I have to answer it and may have to leave. Should that ever happen, and God forbid it ever does, but there's always that slight possibility. I will bless the elements quickly, and you'll still have communion. And if it ever happens before or during a sermon, my long-suffering husband, who has had to hear the sermon far too many times already this week, can always get up and read it. But on these weekends, you'll see me actually having a sermon in front of me read to read. In the words of my heart and the meditations of our hearts, be acceptable to you, O Lord, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Today is the first Sunday of Advent. So what is Advent? It is a time of preparation, of waiting with great hope for something wonderful to come. Now, Advent falls at a time when nights are lengthening and days are getting shorter. These days of midwinter leading up to the winter solstice used to be a time for retreating into our homes and into ourselves. It was a time for rest and reflection, a time to rest weary bodies that have just finished a harvest, and a time to rest burdened minds. But, in today's world, we're being told this is the Christmas season. This is not the Christmas season. Christmas, the 12 days of Christmas, begins Christmas Eve service. Actually, to be exactly precise, it begins at sundown on December 24th. Right now is Advent. And our world keeps robbing us of our Advent more and more each year. And I believe that it is this loss of observing Advent that is making us not just spiritually ill, but emotionally and physically ill as well. You see, instead of this being a time for rest and reflection, society is screaming for us to be driving on, to be spending more time, more energy, more money. Yet, if we are truly listening to our inner selves, we feel the same tug to indulge in a time of peace and quiet and reflection, the same as animals who retreat into their caves and their dens to hibernate. Okay, admit it. How many of you this past week have felt a really strong desire to just lay down and take a nap? Guess what? You need that nap. We all need the nap. We all need the rest that Advent gives us. So you know what? We need to start taking Advent back. We need to embrace the darkness, to allow for a period of forgiving, accepting, saying goodbye to what was without yet knowing everything that's going to come. But it seems like so much of our world fights against us. There is this tension between what we need and what the world wants to dictate to us. It's really hard to be silent with the din of Christmas carols playing in stores beginning before Halloween. And it's hard to renew ourselves amidst the clamor to shop early and spend more. After all, you can put those expensive gifts on a 60-month payment plan now. So you have no excuse not to buy that special someone, that big screen TV or the new car or diamond jewelry. No excuse except for your sanity. And the best gift that we can give is love from our true hearts. But you see, this is what all that clamor does to us. Many of us don't even know our true hearts. We have ignored the pulse of life for so long. And the voices of demand and desire and drive have all but drowned out that inner true voice that is speaking truth to us. That voice tells us we need Advent. We need this time of rest and healing. And our society even works against us in the realm of going inside by attaching stigmas and making jokes about people working through self-reflection. Sometimes we buy into the lie that self-reflection at worst is painful and at best is just a bunch of gobbledygook. And we avoid it. We avoid it by indulging in all the seasonal distractions our culture throws at us, like shopping and lights and decorations and parties, and we keep on going and going. But for our own physical and spiritual health, we need Advent. We need the kind of hush that comes over the world in these lengthening nights. Even here in Florida, the world of endless summer, we need winter. This Advent, it's the pause in the cycle of all that lives. And in honoring Advent, we enter more fully into the connectedness between ourselves and everything. You know, Earth is a living, breathing entity, just like all of us. We share the same fourfold pulse and breathing cycle that the Earth does. All right, place your hand over your heart. And now tap in the rhythm of your heartbeat. You see, there's a pause between each. There's a stillness between the beats. Your heart cannot be expanding and contracting both at the same time. Now, observe your breathing. Breathe in and out. You cannot inhale and exhale at the same time. Try this. Hold your finger up as if it were a candle and blow the candle out. You see, there's a pause. You can't inhale and exhale at the same time. We observe Earth's breathing in the seasons. Breathe in, the seed falls to the ground. Pause, the seed rests underground and sprouts. Breathe out, the seed grows into a tree. Pause, the tree grows flowers and leaves. Breathe in, the leaves and the seeds fall back to the ground. You see, a tree can't grow leaves and drop them at the same time. Pauses in our breathing, in the Earth's breathing, are necessary. They're necessary for the Earth's life. They're necessary for our life. The Earth goes through these big bursts of energy and then pauses of less activity. And we too have moments of necessary energy and then stillness. This is Advent, this time of stillness, and it is an essential part of our life cycle. But every year, our culture works to steal away our pause. Christmas decorations, music, and shopping promotions come earlier and earlier every year to the point where, we no longer have several holidays across several months. We have Hallowed Thanksmas Eve. There's no pause, there's no break, it's all rushed and swooshed together. And I'm not sure if Hallowed Thanksmas Eve is a reflection of our lives or if our lives are a reflection of it. But we keep squeezing our life cycle at both ends. When we're kids, we're in a hurry to be able to drive and then to graduate from high school and then to graduate from college and to start a job, to get married, to have kids, to buy a car, blah, 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 blah. any of it. And we miss growing stages and essential growth. And then, lying on our deathbeds, we say, it all went by so fast. See, I believe this is why our society has become so angry. We're missing out on the pauses that are essential to our spiritual, emotional, physical, mental health. We need the nap, people. We need the nap. We cannot keep trying to inhale and exhale at the same time. If a heart rushes to its next beat, and its next beat, and its next beat, that heart breaks down. If we keep rushing in, we hyperventilate, we damage our lungs. We as a people, we begin to break down. When we allow the secular world to steal away our pauses, we need our rest. We become angry. We become ill if we don't get it. But here's what we can do. We can make a conscious decision to insist on observing our Advent. There's a kind of hush that comes over the world when we turn deaf ears to wailing TV commercials and the onslaught of canned Christmas carols and set aside time to tend to ourselves. This pause between the inhale and the exhale comes with great hope and fear, especially when we pause to look inward. You know, for some, going into the darkness can elevate anxiety. But I assure you, we don't go into the darkness alone. We go together, and we go with God. We go with the promise that Jesus is coming, and with him, peace and goodwill. Jesus is the reason why we go into the pause of Advent with hope. And during that pause, we empty our hearts and our minds in order to be completely filled with the Holy Spirit when we meet Jesus again at Christmas. So this Advent, let's shut it all out. Let's set aside time over these 4 Sundays of Advent to reflect on the past year, to speak truth and love to our inner selves where we might be hurting, to speak forgiveness to others and to ourselves, to lay down those grudges because they are way too heavy to carry into Christmas. Let's open our hearts to receiving the light and love of Christ in a way we may never have experienced before. Then we will truly be ready when Christmas comes. Our culture says, forget about Advent. Come celebrate Hallow Thanksmas Eve and keep up with the crowd. But you know what? Jesus didn't believe in keeping up with the crowd. That wasn't his style. And you know what? We follow Jesus. We follow our leader. So let's just refuse to follow the crowd this year. Let's turn down the push to rush Christmas and instead honor our essential life's cycle pause of Advent. Our health, our sanity, and our discipleship is worth the kind of hush that Advent affords us. Thank you. But no thank you, secular world. I think we'll be skipping Hallow Thanksmas Eve this year. We're going to claim our Advent. Amen?
Amen.